right through. We got 1 hour left on the broadcast, less than an hour, and I am delighted to have on the voice of the next generation. Now, we got to do a little studio setup here. So, Laura, could we get the 2 chairs? Come on in, gentlemen. My next 2 guests are Davis and Winters Yolo County residents, and they are recent graduates from the Bio Boot Camp. Come on in, guys. There's no right or wrong here. We're just going to have some fun. So, Bjorn, why don't you sit right there? Jack, why don't you grab a seat here? And we're going to have you share a microphone, guys. So we're going to sit right there just because of the setup of the camera and everything. So, in Davis, there's a lot of special outreach and programming that goes on, and one of them is held through the Bohart Museum of Entomology. It's called the Bio Boot Camp that happens every year. And these 2 gentlemen here, I think, are honorary ambassadors for the insect tribe. Certainly represent the hope for a smart and engaged and insightful future as far as insects and other things go. I'm pleased to have on Bjorn Bush and Jack Henderson. Bjorn is almost 12 years old. When do you turn 12?
September 10th.
Oh, cool. It's a Virgo. I just turned 43. I just had my birthday last Sunday. How about that?
I'm always Virgo.
You're always Virgo? All right, okay. Right. He goes to Woodland Montessori School. He has been interested in insects for as long as he can remember, and always had the microscope at school drawing rotifers. How cool is that, man? Rotifers. He draws rotifers and other microorganisms from water samples he collected at the Bio Boot Camp through the Bohart Museum. He learned that the butterfly, this is real, the butterfly nerve pinch, and I'm going to let you explain this. He wanted me to give a warning on air, though. Warning, do not perform the nerve pinch on any butterflies you do not intend to prepare. Okay, folks, this is a deep dive into the insect tribe because only the 3 of us really know what we're talking about, and I think it's really fun. Jack Henderson is from Woodland, California. He goes to school at the Da Vinci Charter Academy in Davis. He attended the Bio Boot Camp for the last 2 years, and he learned about geology, zoology, botany, taxidermy, entomology. His favorite subjects are math, botany, and ichthyology. And based on our last conversation, he's the resident expert on Charles Darwin and the pollination of orchids. Gentlemen, welcome to the Bee-a-Thon 3, Bjorn and Jack. Hey, how about a round of applause for these 2 guys out there? Can we hear from the studio audience? All right, so we're going to talk first about the bugs themselves. We're going to talk with Bjorn because Bjorn is an art science fusionist. He likes to take the bugs and display them in a way where people can really understand how complex. And this is your own personal specimen box, right, Bjorn? Let's turn the microphone this way. There we go. So why don't you open that up and show our audience here. I'll open it while you tell us what it is. What am I looking at here?
Well, you're looking at my collection from when I very first was collecting insects and not very good at it.
I think he's done a pretty good job. What do you think?
And from there, I just kind of got better and more interested.
Okay.
Each as I did so.
Okay, great. Now this is interesting because this is the Bee-a-Thon, but as you can see, he's a true insect scientist. He's got a whole range of insects on the pin box, and these all come from your house, your backyard. How'd you find them?
Most of them. So, I definitely lacked in most of the insect department until my dad got me a butterfly net.
Way to go, Dad. Thumbs up right there.
That certainly helped.
Sure.
Because, well, as you can see, there's a lot of bugs there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I'll zoom in so the camera can see there.
And it goes from right to left, most recent to oldest to most recent over here.
Wow, so it's actually chronological. Think of the logic behind that. That's fantastic.
The earwigs were my first, and they did not turn out well because I had no idea how to.
Oh
pin
yeah,
them
it's an art
or
form.
anything
Yeah.
when I started out.
In some societies around the world, like in Japan, pinning insects is truly an art form. And actually, pinning insects was one of the most essential steps to a greater understanding of the entire ecosystem. In the 1800s, some very special people became very interested in pin boxes. Among them, as I mentioned, Charles Darwin. So Bjorn here is carrying the legacy of the man who revolutionized scientific thinking and by doing this pin box. Now,
It's basically like hair gel, but then my dad got me a full insect collecting kit, which contained ethanol acetate, 2 plaster bomb kill jars. And what you do with the
I'm sorry. We're on the Bee-a-Thon talking about plaster bomb kill jars. It all makes sense, folks. It's all about raising the awareness of the microcosm. The good news is there's enough bugs to go around for the most part, right? So the question is this. I got one real quick question. Do you get to show this pin box to any of your friends, and do they dig it?
I have not yet, but I'm going to be showing my class tomorrow.
Awesome. So tomorrow that pin box goes global, and right now it's on the Bee-a-Thon. So, all right, let's get the microphone over to Mr. Jack. So Jack, now Jack had a really interesting perspective on the Bee-a-Thon as well, because Jack's personal interest, is he in the screen okay? Or do we need to slide him around? Okay, great. Thanks, Matthias. Oh, by the way, the bag's in here, guys, so you can stop the search. I think it's in here. So, Jack, now you called me. We had a very interesting conversation, and you are basically someone who takes a really intellectual approach to insects as well, right? You've done some research on them. Tell me about your research.
Well, recently I've been researching not only honeybees, but all types of bees, specializing more in orchid bees and how orchids and bees coexist.
Uh-huh.
So,
Now, in our conversations, we also talked about Charles Darwin. Why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about his book on orchids?
Well, Darwin wrote a book called The Various Contrivances by Which British and Foreign Orchids Are Fertilized. It's a much less controversial work than his book of
Origin of Species.
Yeah,
that was
Origin
very
of Species.
controversial, yeah.
So it was much more widely accepted instantaneously, and it went big immediately. So
Now, what was it about the book that was so appealing to people?
it was that it had proof, and it went along with things that they had seen before, and it explained more about the universe.
Yeah. I
around.
talked about not only the look of the flower, but how the look of the flower actually fits the pollinator that pollinates it, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so what is your favorite pollinator?
I have to say my favorite pollinator right now would have to be the orchid bee.
Oh, yeah.
Just because I've looked into it more.
Sure.
It's one of the much longer tongued bees, so it's able to get to different flowers than a lot of others. And it has a very different life cycle than a lot of bees.
Interesting.
Rather than going for pollen, rather than going for nectar, which is the driving force for many bees and pollinators, it actually goes for the scent of an orchid. So certain orchids, it will crawl in to gain scents, which it holds in its
It's little leg sacs, right?
leg sacs.
It's sort of like a cologne patch on their legs, right? It picks up the scent of the flower and it flies away smelling like the flower. And then what happens?
Well, it then goes to another orchid, try and collect more scent. Then it loses its footing, falls into a kind of bucket of liquid,
Oh,
and the
wow.
only way to escape is through a small hole. It tries to go out. It's held quickly by the orchid, and then the orchid holds it for about 40 minutes while it attaches a glued pollinia, I believe is the term for
that's
it.
the word, sure.
Which isn't a open amount of pollen, which bees normally collect. So they normally collect dust
Sure,
that
sure.
they can coagulate so that it's usable. Pollinia are two already focused sacs of pollen, but the bees can't get to them, so they are only useful to the orchids.
Uh-huh.
Once it attaches the pollinia, it will release the bee, it'll fly away, and hopefully, after a while, it immediately stops releasing that scent, so it won't
Yeah,
attract
I
any more
see.
orchids that day, until the next day it becomes the female flower, which can then receive
Wow. It's
pollinia.
extremely complex, and obviously as a young man, a young scientist, you guys, there's a lot of details you kind of have to follow, but it can be really fun being into bugs as well, right? So you guys met at the Bio Boot Camp, and you learned a lot about honeybees at the Bio Boot Camp, right?
Yes, we've actually known each other for a few years before that.
Oh, very cool. Because you guys, somebody's best friend is your brother, right? Isn't that how it
Yeah,
goes?
his older brother.
Your older brother is his best friend, right?
Yeah.
Very cool.
So we knew each other for a while before then, but his brother had gotten me interested in a program called Bio Boot Camp.
Yeah.
And so later, Bjorn, when he was old enough to be there, because he was pretty excited about going for years before I had heard. So we were able to kind of
Connect, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great way to connect with somebody. And it's not just connecting with somebody in a fun way, but there's a lot that can be learned as well, especially about this butterfly nerve pinch. Now, again, we're advocating on behalf of all pollinators. Bjorn, why don't you tell us what the butterfly nerve pinch is?
Well, I heard of it essentially from my older brother in bio boot camp.
Makes sense, right? Okay.
And he was telling me that there's this nerve pinch on a butterfly, and I didn't quite remember where on it when I finally got interested in insects. When he got home, he was telling me all about it, but later on he forgot about it when I finally got interested and asked him. So when I went to bio boot camp, one of the counselors told me how, and essentially what it is to pinch the thorax of a butterfly between where the base of the wings are and the top of the legs on each side, very gently, not to squish it.
Not to squish the body, right?
And I'm not sure exactly how it works, but it temporarily paralyzes them, if not permanently.
Okay, so it's a way to help the bug collection
It's
specimen.
so that it
Good.
doesn't beat the heck out of itself while you're trying to move it.
I see. Okay, so it actually protects the specimen, so to speak. So,
Honeybees aren't a universal pollinator. You can't put them next to any flower and immediately have them pollinate that species no matter what. They have limits, they have a certain tongue length, and they have a certain type of collection of pollen.
sure.
So they're not just a catch-all that
Sure.
can pollinate every single species.
That's a great bit of advice. And you actually are echoing the sentiments of a lot of the experts we had on before, that honeybees are in danger, but native pollinators are in danger. And just like anything else in the human world, everybody has a role. And if everybody does that role, things will probably work out okay. So Bjorn, back to you. Anything you want to say?
Yeah.
I got a better question for you. What's your favorite bug?
You know, I'm constantly switching between 3 or 4 different
Yeah, me too. I
insects.
feel you, bro. I really do.
Flipping from all kinds of pine beetles like the sawyers, praying mantids, damselflies.
Very cool. What about you,
All
Jack?
kinds of stuff.
That is a difficult question. I, too, am interested very much in mantids, but I have to say that just about any spider is...
Spiders, good. They belong on the Bee-a-Thon too, the insect tribe. I love the 8-legged friends. I always talk about our 6 and 8-legged friends. And soon coming up on the show, we're going to take an artistic dive into the world of the bees, because we're going to have some tattoo artists in the studio. I'm going to talk about that urban culture once again. But before we go, I just wanted to give this to Bjorn. I didn't know if you were bringing a pin box, so I only brought one specimen. But this morning, as I was getting prepared for the Bee-a-Thon, I walked into my back garden. I said hello to the day. I bowed to Mother Nature, and I bent down, and this showed up right in my backyard. What do you think? Not a bad specimen, huh? So what we have is one of those carpenter bees he was talking about that actually left this world in almost the perfect shape to fit into a pin box. And so, which is that a male or a female? What
It's
do
a
you think?
female.
It's a female. This guy is on it. So I'm pleased to present to you, Bjorn, and honorary to you, Jack. I'll find another bug for you soon. Here is a female carpenter bee for your boxed specimen. You can present that at the show tomorrow. Gentlemen, you did a great job. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thanks for being on the Bee-a-Thon 3. All right, and thanks for the parents for bringing them in. Nice job, guys. All righty. So have a great day.
You too.
Thanks, fellas. You can take that lid, too. There you go.